Hello and welcome to the Learning Couch. This episode is all about personal branding for L&D professionals. Recently I had the pleasure of interviewing Gary Martin from AIMWA, and Gary shared some of his insights into the market here in Western Australia for L&D professionals and trainers. And one of his biggest tips was for L&D professionals to stand out from the crowd and personal branding. So I'm very fortunate tonight to have with me Paula Smith. Dynamic, infectious, inspiring and commercially savvy are all words that have been used to describe Paula by her clients. Presenter, workshop leader and business coach, Paula, believe it or not, has been active in L&D for nearly 30 years. Paula's many roles as a successful businesswoman entrepreneur have included Director of Australia's largest grooming and deportment school, franchisor, training college director, professional speaker, best-selling author, corporate trainer and business consultant coach. She's the author of Speaking in the Shower, Powerful Presentation Principles and the #1 best-selling book, Sell Your Story, and is a leading authority on training trainers and presenters. She has been awarded the CSP, Certified Speaking Professional, by the National Speakers Association, is the proud mum of 3, wife of 1 and friends to a few more. She's been seen attempting the occasional triathlon and enjoys hanging out in her Perth Hills property with a whole bunch of adorable backpackers. I'd like you all to welcome Paula Smith. So Paula, before we get started, could you tell us what personal branding is?
Yes, absolutely. Now, before I start, I just want to say how excited I am to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me. And how wonderful that the Learning Couch is here in Perth. I've seen a few episodes from the East Coast. What a fantastic resource for the learning and development practitioners here in Australia.
Thank you very much. Good. All right.
So
personal branding.
Yes. Yeah. Now, for many people, they think that a personal brand is just about their personal presentation, but it's so much more. Yes, it is about the way we present ourselves, but it's also about your competence and your expertise. It's about your values, it's about your attitude, and it's all about the way you do business. And everyone has a personal brand. They don't get to choose if they have one or not, and it's judged by their key constituents. So your key constituents are your friends, your family, your peers, your clients, your boss. So if I could sum up what a personal brand is in maybe 3 words, it would be your brand promise. So a brand promise is every time you do business with me, I promise that the experience will be consistent, it'll be a positive experience, and your brand promise is what I promise you I will actually deliver. So in a nutshell, that's what a personal brand is. It's so much more than just about the way we present ourselves.
Okay, thanks very much, Paula. So your brand promise. All right, Paula, well, what about why is it important to have a personal brand, and what about the people in L&D that are employed?
So, well, it doesn't matter whether you're just employed or whether you're a consultant or an independent trainer. Your personal brand it should be a strategic part of the way you run your business or your career. Now, we would like to think that in the learning and development professional, that when there is a really tight market or when things are a little bit tough out there in the market, that the true professionals and the ones with the highest qualifications, they're the ones that will shine. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. A lot of the times it's the L&D professionals who can market themselves the best. It's the ones who are more commercially savvy. And it's the ones who take their personal brand much more seriously and are much more visible in the marketplace. And sometimes that's really unfortunate for those L&D professionals who are sitting at home wishing they were out there in the marketplace, but they're just not visible enough. So it's something that L&D practitioners have to be serious about.
Paula, is it a saturated market for trainers though?
Yeah, now that's an interesting question. So is the market saturated for trainers? So let's have a look at some of the statistics. In 2014, there was over 25,000 people enrolled in a Cert 4 in training and assessment.
Wow.
And it was the same the year before that, and the year before that, and the year before that. So as you could imagine, over several years, that's hundreds of thousands of people who have Cert 4 qualifications in training. And this doesn't include the diploma qualifications, the degree qualified people, the experts, the authors, the professional speakers, or the corporate trainers who are not involved in the vet industry. So it starts to add up.
Yeah.
So it can be quite scary in a saturated market. You'll know if it's saturated because if you're doing all the right things, so you're getting exposed, you're being visible, your personal brand is great, and you're still struggling a little bit, then it's a saturated marketplace. But you know, sometimes it's totally the opposite. Sometimes we have that many trainers out there, but there's still a shortage of really great trainers. So it's just about figuring out, is it a saturated market? Is it not? We don't understand, you know, sometimes those cycles. It's about being ready at any time and having those strategies to really be visible in any marketplace.
Great. Okay, so I'm hoping that you've actually got some tips for standing out, some tips for us that you can share, tips and strategies.
Absolutely. So I thought I'd share 4 today.
Great.
So the first one is, when was the last time you did a personal brand audit?
Right.
So I know, so sometimes we brand ourselves, we have those great photographs that we put on our website and we think it's all done and dusted, and 5 years later it's the same photograph still sitting on our website.
Yeah.
So a personal brand, yes, is that you? So I don't think it is. Your photos are amazing up there. I've just seen, you've just had some new ones, I believe. So you may have been having a personal brand audit, Louise. So a personal brand audit isn't something that we do ourselves. It's something that we get help with, and that can be from our clients, and some of our peers and our colleagues can help us with the personal brand audit. But it's about revisiting your expertise. You know, is there gaps in your expertise and your professional development? What about your personal presentation? You know, is it current, you know, for today's market out there? So it's all those little things that we sometimes forget about and we don't pay attention to, that we need to sometimes just tweak to make sure that our personal brand is being managed correctly. And a personal brand audit is a great way to do that. And sometimes we just have to do some little tweaks, and other times it's a whole brand reinvention.
Great. Okay, so your first tip is a brand audit.
A brand audit.
And what else can you share with us, Paula?
Number 2, learning and development professionals need to be current and they need to be relevant in today's market. And that's keeping up to date with your own professional qualifications, not just in your industry or your area of expertise, but also in the training and the L&D industry as well. And I'll give you an example of something about maybe being relevant and current. It's not about recreating the wheel and always having to start from scratch. So about 25 years ago, I was delivering a program called Professional Image. And that was great for a few years, and then people just stopped buying that particular program. They wanted something new and sexy. So then it became personal branding. And personal branding was great for a few years. And then there was lots of people delivering personal branding workshops, so it was a little bit harder to sell, and people were looking for something fresh and exciting. So then the program became reputation management. But you know what? It was the same program as the professional image. It was just given a fresh look. It was contextualised, and it was just sort of tweaked a bit to make it current in that particular market. So it's just about paying attention to what people are buying out there and just making sure that you're always current and relevant in the market. And if you've got an area of expertise and you're working in the mining industry, for instance, and we all know that's had some troubling times recently. And so is your message just relevant and current for the mining industry, or can you contextualise the same message and make it relevant for the aged care industry, you know, or maybe a government department? So that's, yeah.
All right, so you've said a brand audit.
Yes.
And your second tip was keeping current, relevant, and possibly repurposing what you've already
absolutely.
created. And can you share anything else, Paula? Any other tips?
Yeah, number 3, I would say, is be a thought leader. The term thought leader is sometimes used very loosely now, but what it means is bring fresh insights to your area of expertise. Don't be a commodity out there. Now, if you are having to deliver off-the-shelf programs, as some trainers that's just what their organisations are requiring them to do, is how do you bring your own special, unique way of delivering that content? And if possible, for the independent consultants out there, start developing your own intellectual property. Just being memorable, have something different, something that really stands out from the crowd, and just bring those fresher insights to your classrooms, to your workshops and the industry. And that way people can't get you anywhere else. They have to come to you, and it just makes you so much more valuable, especially in a saturated marketplace.
Brilliant tip. All right. Any more?
Well, we said 4, so number 4. And now they're saying trust and building relationships is the new currency in business, but it's not. It's always been currency in business. And I think recently we've been really quite overwhelmed with the whole digital world, and we're forgetting about that face-to-face contact and just the old way of building really solid relationships. And that might be going to relevant networking events. It might just be touching base on a more regular basis with our really important clients and taking them out for a coffee. And just reconnecting and making sure that you're making a special effort to build and maintain those relationships as well. It's not just about building them, it's about maintaining those relationships. And I think building relationships is something that will never ever go out of fashion.
Okay, that connection. All right. What about the personal brand stereotypes? So wearing heels, wearing makeup, wearing a suit, those kind of things.
Okay, well, let's hope that our guys don't wear heels and makeup for their personal brand, unless, of course, it is their personal brand.
Maybe, yeah.
But there is no real stereotype. So sometimes people get advice that they have to wear a suit to work in the corporate world. If a suit isn't your thing, don't wear a suit. However, saying that is, if you don't want to wear a suit and people choose not to do business with you because you're not wearing a suit, then you can't get upset about that as well. The wonderful thing about a personal brand is you get to choose what your personal brand is, and it has to align with your business values. It's got to align with your business goals, your personality and your energy of your business as well. So if you like wearing really beautiful, bright colours and quite vivacious jewellery, and that's your brand, really shine and own that brand. So if you've got your photographs on your website and they're all in suits and you're not a suit person, when somebody books you and you don't turn up in a suit, you're starting to break your brand promise.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to keep up something that's not congruent and authentic. So decide what your brand is, make sure that you can own that brand. It's something that's really congruent with who you are as a person and a business professional, and that's who you showcase yourself to the world.
Okay, thank you for that. So being congruent. And what about the digital world, Paula? How is that involved in your personal brand strategy?
Well, now, never more so than ever.
Yeah.
So exciting for learning and development professionals, because if we're in Perth, we don't just have Perth clients. We can have clients over East, we can have clients all over the world without leaving our Perth office. So now you can run programs online, you can run webinars, you can converse with your clients in a global market. So it's a really exciting time in the learning and development field. However, saying that, sometimes when we converse over social media, we sometimes forget to align our personal brand with some of the conversations we're having on social media. So we've got to be very aware of our digital brand voice. So when we are speaking on social media and we're conversing with our global market, just make sure that it's aligned to your actual business and again, your values and your business goals and who you are as a business professional. So, but some really interesting statistics that I heard the other day is 63% of the Australian population have a Facebook account.
63%.
63%. It's really quite high. So, and I've heard it in many conversations, especially in the L&D field, is like, oh, Facebook are not where my clients are.
Yeah.
So it's really about embracing the digital world as well as the face-to-face world, and just looking for opportunities that you may have just shut the door to. So what can you do on Facebook? You know, can you start having relevant conversations that will embrace and amplify your personal brand using some of those social media avenues? And it might be LinkedIn or it might be Instagram, but just be open to what the digital world can to bring, as well as the face-to-face world as well.
Great, excellent tip there. Paula, one of the things that I believe you do is you actually work with presenters and trainers. So is it presentation skills coaching or is it brand development that you do?
Well, it's both. It's absolutely both, Louise. So I run presentation skills programs, you know, for large organisations, or presentation skills coaching, or in the training and development area, I run programs on how to have really engaging learning experiences, you know, for their clients. But one of my favourite things to do is to work with trainers and workshop leaders and speakers and help them how to build a profitable and a sustainable business. And your personal brand is just one element of that whole experience of building a profitable and sustainable business.
Thank you very much, Paul. You've given us a lot of useful advice for L&D professionals to increase their impact in quite a tight market. Thank you very much for that. Before we wrap up, and I'll pass over to you for any final words, I would just like to say thank you particularly to Gary Martin and AIMWA for allowing us to use these lovely premises here at the Kedgen Centre in Floreat. So Paula, I'd also like to thank you very much for giving up your time and coming in here and sharing some of your insights into personal branding.
You're welcome.
Helping.
Yep, it's been wonderful. Thank you.
So any final words, Paula?
Yeah, I think as a learning and development practitioner is be really passionate about your personal brand and really get out there and be visible, because it is a tragedy if you are sitting at home on your couch rather than getting out there and really showcasing who you are. There's a lot of brilliant learning and development professionals out there who are the best kept secret. So get out there and just show the world who you are and share your offerings, you know, with your industry and showcase your expertise.
Fantastic, Paula. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in, and I'd like to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee.